Today I want to ask you a question. Marketing, what we do 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, let's be real, a lot more than that. Is it a tool for good or evil? My boy Dilbert, the original Office influencer, thinks that it may be a little bit trivial. It's just liquor and guessing. Actually had this poster gifted to me by a non-marketer early in my career. Says that we are all style and no substance. Jokes aside, some people think we might be downright nefarious. A 2021 Gallup poll of folks in the United States said that marketers and advertisers were the number 3 most distrusted profession. We are right behind members of Congress and car salesmen. That's gross. And you see headlines like this every day. Are we really tearing at the fabric of society with bad images and misinformation? Is PR inherently unethical? Are we a dark PR firm? Guys, I am stressed. I'm stressed. So what are we? The creator of Adobe Photoshop, John Knoll, says any tool can be used for good or bad. It's really the ethics of those using it. We know this to be true across multiple areas of life. Alcohol can create community. It can be a way to celebrate. It can be a way to enjoy good food. It can also straight up ruin your life. A car can be for upward economic mobility, can take you on an adventure with your friends, or you could be a street racer on ATL Scooped. Even something as fun as magic. In the hands of the boy who lived, it's a blockbuster book and movie franchise. In the hands of a ghoul with no nose, well, you all know how that ends. So let's look at this. What is our tool being used for? Let's talk about body image. I'm stressed just thinking about it. You guys, I grew up in the early 2000s in the age of Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and controversial Abercrombie ads, the Mean Girls era. And while I would like to think that feeling uniquely bad about yourself was something that happened to my generation, the truth is the advertising industry has been making us feel like garbage for a long time. They made our mothers feel like garbage by saying that's no shape for a girl, which is rude because that's a nice pair. They made our grandmothers think that they could wash away fat in years of age with Lamar-reducing soap. You go to today, dimples cute on your face, not on your thighs, that's rude. And if I had perfect proportions like this photoshopped lady's here, my hand would be here-ish. But don't I look so slender? This ethos was really summarized by the former Abercrombie CEO, Mike Jeffries. He said, those companies that are in trouble are trying to get everybody, young and old, fat and skinny, but then you become totally vanilla. You don't alienate anybody, but you don't excite anybody either. That guy sounds like a fun hang. Enter 2004, the Dove Real Beauty campaign. While no one ad campaign can change the world, this was the start of a trend. They used their PR agency, Edelman, we know people who work there, to commission a study, a research study of more than 10,000 women in 8 countries. They found a few things. Fewer than 2% of women identified themselves as beautiful or similar words. More than 60% of women said that their bodies were too big. Here's something. 8 out of 10 adolescent girls will not pursue something they are passionate about if they don't feel good about the way they look. Then you look at the eating disorder statistics. 9% of Americans have an eating disorder. 1 in every 4 Americans with an eating disorder will attempt suicide. This is serious. Their intentions weren't completely noble. They did want to make a profit. But they turned the beauty industry on its head by showing things that were old, things that were different, things that were flawed, things that were shapely, and said, could this be beautiful? And the numbers showed it. Their sales grew by 12% in year 1, 10% in year 2. A decade later, their profits had increased by 62%. And they backed this up with partnerships with nonprofits that supported body image and supported inclusion. Fast forward to 2022, Aerie is beating out Victoria's Secret with their diverse and inclusive bodies. Victoria's Secret has completely rebranded. Brands like Target are taking the inclusivity to a whole new level, showing not just all sizes and shapes, but all ability levels, because seeing yourself matters. And miracle of all miracles, Barbie has hips. My 9-year-old niece has never once played with a Barbie doll that she couldn't grow up to look like. That is a win. Now let's talk about the big ghouls of the advertising industry, tobacco marketers. They have the notorious distinction of having preyed upon just about every single demographic in the world in the name of a profit. You're a man, you want to be rugged and manly like the Marlboro Man. You're a kid, well, we're just gonna smoke with a cartoon. You're a woman, well, we all know you look bad, so smoke a Lucky Strike instead of a meal. Sure, that's healthy. Philip Morris, one of the biggest tobacco CEOs of the 20th century, was quoted as saying, "Today's teenager is tomorrow's potential regular customer, and the overwhelming majority of smokers first begin to smoke while they're still in their teens." He didn't say this before the Surgeon General's warning. He said this in the 1980s. Some of us in this room were alive then. My grandmother died of advanced stage COPD because she started smoking when she was 14. Philip Morris, he can just go blank. Enter the late 90s, and we have lots of large liability lawsuits against big tobacco, trying to reduce smoking and share about the dangers. The Truth Initiative was one of many public awareness campaigns that used advertising to drive down the rates of youth smoking. They decreased youth smoking rate from 23% in 2000 to just 4% in 2020. They had programs to help people stop smoking. 20 years after they started, there are 4 times more college campuses in the US that are completely smoke-free. There are countries that are about to be post-tobacco. Joe Camel is gone. Some of you have never been to a restaurant where you remember being asked about a smoking section. Back to my 9-year-old niece, she's never gonna flip through a magazine and see a cigarette ad. That's because of advertising. Then we have an example that is near and dear to my heart with social media. Is it ruining the world? Maybe. It may be a little toxic. It may put us in a dangerous spiral. I think Mark Zuckerberg was the Antichrist, but if those Left Behind movies told me anything, it's that he'll be just a little bit hot, so we're still waiting. But Tristan Harris, a design ethicist, says if you're an app, how do you keep people hooked? Turn yourself into a slot machine. They're trying to do something big and bad. But social media can also do things that are big and good. I'm going to take you to 5 years ago to the Me Too movement. What you may not know about it is that the Me Too movement did not start with Harvey Weinstein and some hashtags. The Me Too movement started 10 years earlier with a small regional nonprofit like many of the ones that are on our client roster. This woman, Tarana Burke, was looking for some messaging for her caseworkers and for her donors and for our volunteers to empathize with and connect with girls who had gone through horrific things. She was faced with one girl's particularly harrowing story, and she said, I wanted to show empathy, but I didn't know what to say, and so I just said, me too. And it became a rallying cry for her organization, Just Be Incorporated, for more than 10 years. Fast forward to 2017, you have many high-profile cases in the news gaining steam, and an actress takes Tarana's words and she retweets them. 2.3 million tweets in 85 countries later, 24 million Facebook posts, and it is the single most viral social media campaign in history. And this spurred change as well. Everything from legislation to conversations about the pay gap. And we all know it's real if they put it on the cover of Time magazine. This was marketing. So back to the question. We as marketers, are we good or are we evil? We're neither. We're a tool.